Thanks for joining the Northern Miner here in Quebec City. We're at the mining investment event of the North. Joining me now is Exploits Discovery, who has built a growth platform in Ontario, Quebec, and Newfoundland. Here to tell us more is Jeff Swinoga, the CEO. Welcome.
Thanks, Henry. Thanks for having me. Honestly, it's great to be in Quebec. And it's even better to be in Quebec after announcing this option agreement to pick up over 300,000 ounces in Quebec. So we're super happy.
Yeah, exactly. So let's jump right into it. You basically went from a 0-ounce explorer to 3 weeks ago signing 2 option agreements, which now gives you roughly in the area of about 700,000 ounces on the balance sheet. Tell me more about it. How do you break it down?
Yeah, no, great, Henry. So let me give an overview. So again, about a month ago, we had our Newfoundland property, which has been fantastic, all beside Newfound Gold. Newfound came out with 2 million ounces. We picked up. You can't plan these sort of things. You can prepare, but when these became available, we were so pleased to be able to be in a position to sort of pick up these option agreements. So like you said, we've almost got 700,000 ounces of historic gold ounces and some non-compliant in Quebec, but super pleased. So how this all kind of happened was that we were being approached about some properties that might be available, and having cash in your balance sheet is always a good thing, right? So then we started looking, and then first we picked up Ontario. So the first option agreement was called the Hawkins property. You know, that's got about 341,000 ounces of gold inferred, near surface. You know, and the prior company drilled a little bit at depth, but they didn't drill to the east. So we see lots of areas. If you go to our press release, you'll see 6 areas that we've highlighted in sort of yellow that we see opportunities at depth to kind of follow up on some of the high grade that's there, and also some of the near surface opportunities to add ounces. So our goal in Ontario, for this Ontario property, is to try and grow this to 1 million ounces. Okay. Now, 2 days ago, we announced our Quebec option agreement, and we're picking up properties like Benoit, Fenton, and Wilson. And each of these have high grade and opportunities almost like golden chimneys kind of coming down. And so the total resource there, compliant and non-compliant, is about 340,000 ounces. So combined is about 680,000 ounces. So the opportunity there also for Quebec is to grow that to 1 million ounces. So that's what we want to do. So the vision here is to be a 2 million ounce company as we kind of have these drill plans going later on this year for each of those areas. Yeah, so that's, and right now, I mean, our market cap's only about 8 million, and we've got roughly about $4 million in cash. Okay. So you can see our EV is about 4 million. So on a per ounce basis, that's about $6 an ounce. Yeah. So usually the industry is about $40 to $50 an ounce. So you can see how a possible re-rating is going to occur. And how, but to your point, when you first opened up, you talk about this growth platform. That's what we've done here. A month ago, we had no gold resources, right, historic or whatever. But now we've got almost 700,000. So we've developed a great growth platform to kind of build ounces in each of these great regions, like Ontario and Quebec. These are world-class regions. We're among some of the major companies in the area. On trend. So we're super pleased with, and this is all for the benefit of the shareholders, of course, but we're super pleased to have these assets available to our shareholders. Yeah.
All right, so what's the current plan then at each of these 3 major projects? How do you move the needle forward on each of them?
And sorry, I forgot to mention that Eric Sprott owns 14% of us as well.
Oh, that's a major endorsement.
Yeah, he's been a great shareholder. Honestly, super pleased to have him stay with us and support us. But yeah, so each of the plans is that we just got these, literally like 3 weeks ago we talked about this. So to do the permitting. So permitting is going to take about 90 days or more, plus or minus, probably a little more. And then we want to show people exactly where we're going to be drilling, exactly where we expect to find ounces, how we're hopefully going to improve the grade at Hawkins, for example, and where we're going to build more ounces down at depth and along to the east. The east has never been drilled. And you can see from our press release, sort of the low mag area that continues, that they had good trenching numbers too. So Hawkins is going to be very important. So from a drilling perspective, we plan to be drilling later on this year at Hawkins. And with the Quebec properties, these are higher grade. These are like 25 grams over 3 meters and so forth. And actually, I got some core here. Yes. If I can show it. It shows. Yeah, this is Wilson. So it shows bands of pyrite and silica, and you can see that the pyrite kind of carries the gold. So beautiful looking rock, and then this is and this is Fenton. Same type of stuff. You can see the bands of pyrite here, and the silica or quartz. And no, anyway, so beautiful looking rock. We're going to be showcasing more of that. But the goal again in Quebec is to build to 1 million ounces with the 3 properties. With this option agreement that we have, we can keep all 3 for the term of the option. You know, we keep making the payments and issuing some shares for that, or we actually can spend more money on one property and keep the other 2 in inventory. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Or we could keep one property, drop the other 2. So the flexibility that we have with these Quebec assets is tremendous.
Yeah.
You know, so we're able to sort of identify. And to your point about the plans that we're going to plan to drill, if one turns hot, we're going to be spending more time and effort on that. Okay, and then we could also inventory the other 2. But I mean, you know, so we have that optionality. You know, and that's very important because in a rising gold market, you know, where gold's over $3,300 an ounce, 4,500 Canadian. If gold keeps moving and we have gold in inventory, or available exposure, and we can start building ounces and grade potential in these areas, our shareholders are going to benefit from this.
Right. So, I mean, I'm curious to know a little bit more about each, basically, of these 3 assets. What styles of mineralization are we talking about?
Yeah. Well, great question, because the Hawkins property is like a Hemlo lookalike, very similar geology. So it's got sericite, silica, pyrite. We're hoping that it's going to be like Hemlo, and that would be, that's huge, right? If it is, because back in 1981, Hemlo was very similar to Hawkins. The same person, Don McKinnon, that co-discovered Hemlo in Ontario, that produced over 20 million ounces, discovered Hawkins. So he was looking for similar geology, okay? Back in 1981, very similar geology like Hawkins, but they drilled deep and they found higher grade. And it's very continuous. Disseminated grade, very consistent from a production perspective. We're hoping Hawkins has those elements to it. And so that's why we're going to be focused on some of the higher grade at depth, but also along strike, okay? So that's very important to understand. Quebec, again, Quebec's a fantastic jurisdiction. Happy to be in Quebec City talking about this. But we're right where others like Iron Gold and Goldfields are in this area. So, and there's so many mills around Quebec. These properties are about 2 hours north of Val d'Or, right? And so there's a mill about an hour away from some of these properties too. So as we kind of hopefully prove up those resources, and if we can make them bigger and better, there might be a possibility at some point to do something with them, right? With a nearby mill.
All right. I'm curious to know a little bit more about your Newfoundland assets. We've spoken basically only about the Ontario and Quebec asset thus far.
And Newfoundland's been great. We've been there for over 4 years. Super pleased that Newfound Gold's actually found has a resource now. They're coming with the PEA. But we've drilled. We found 2 gold zones there on our Bullseye property. We've got 10 kilometers of Appleton Fault with our claims. So that drilling there or doing more exploration work on there is going to compete with sort of the opportunity that we have in Ontario and Quebec. So again, we have a platform now. We're not necessarily tied to each jurisdiction, but on their merits, how we can grow ounces, grade, tons possibly, is going to be important for our shareholders. So when you're in a rising gold market, that's what shareholders want, in my opinion. Okay? You want to see growth. Okay, it's good to come out with a resource, with your own resource. It takes time and effort to do that. But to already have an options in 2 jurisdictions to have those ounces available to us is going to be critical. And so Newfoundland's great, but we don't have a resource there right now. But it's going to compete with the Ontario and Quebec properties.
All right. So I think we've spoken at length about it, but please walk me through the value-driving catalysts as you see them unfold over the next 12 months or so.
So things to watch out for. Stage 1, create a growth platform. Okay, check the box. We've done that, right? Stage 2, tell shareholders how we're going to hopefully get to 1 million ounces in Ontario and 1 million ounces in Quebec. So watch out for that. Again, we just announced the Quebec properties a couple of days ago, so we're going to be coming out with webinars and sort of teach-ins as to what we see differently than what's been done before, okay? So that's going to be important. Permitting. So we're, permitting, we're going to go through that process, make sure it's done properly, and then announcing concrete drill plans on each of those properties. You know, so that's the plan. So we want to make sure that people understand exactly what we're going after, what to hopefully expect, what the potential we see, and then so we're hoping to have 2 drill programs, one in Ontario, one in Quebec, in the fall of this year.
Right.
So it's not just one property; we're talking multiple properties.
So perhaps as a final point then, maybe make your case to investors why they should consider exploits at this time.
Yeah, so this has been a game changer for us, okay? So again, like a month ago, we had Newfoundland properties beside Newfound Gold. It's been great, but now we've got a growth platform. We've got 680,000 historic gold ounces available to us through these option agreements. We're in world-class jurisdictions in Ontario and Quebec. Our market cap is only about $8 or $9 million right now. We've got $4 million in cash roughly. So from a valuation perspective, at $4 to $6 an ounce, depending where the EV is, we're highly attractive. And when you look at our peer group, that is around $40 to $50 an ounce in the same type of peer group, we have a possible re-rate for our company. So we've created the platform, and we're going to be rolling this out over the next couple months. So,
all right.
Yeah, super pleased to be talking about this.
All right. Well, thank you very much for that breakdown. That was Jeff Swinoga, the CEO of Exploits Discovery. Thanks for making time.
Yeah, thanks, Henry.